Hi, this is David Thornburg, President and CEO of the Committee of 70, Philadelphia's longstanding advocate for better politics and better government. We have a primary election coming up on May 21st, and there's a lot of offices from mayor, council, judges, city commissioners. A lot of those candidates, all of those candidates are out talking to people in the run-up to the election. And we like to think of it as a job interview. That's what's happening here is voters are interviewing candidates for their suitability for particular positions. We have interviewed a lot of city council at large candidates, I think 23 so far, and we are in the midst of interviewing city commissioner candidates as well. One of them, Omar Sabir, is with me today. And Omar, thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All
I
right.
appreciate that.
Yep, sure. And we're basically going to spend about 15 minutes talking with Omar about his past, present, and future. So let me begin with the most basic, fundamental question that's tripped up folks even at the national level because they couldn't quite give a convincing answer to this. But the question is this. Why are you running for the office of city commissioner?
Well, I won because I care. You know, I have 5 children that live here. I have no plans of moving from Philadelphia, and I want to see a better city. And I understand that if we increase our voter turnout, we will bring more resources to our city. We will improve our quality of life. We'll improve our schools. And we will have accountability from elected officials. And that's what's missing here. As you know, there's 2 types of people that live in Philadelphia. There's one that's eating every night. There's one that isn't. We have 400,000 people living in poverty in Philadelphia. And it's very interesting because a lot of those people, they don't vote. That's in that 400,000 I just talked about. You know, they don't see a relationship to voting. They lost faith in the government. And as I become city commissioner, Omar Sabir, if you push button number 35, that'll be me. And I believe that I will increase the voter turnout and I will give Philadelphia back its voice.
Okay. So you probably have realized as you've been out talking to voters, a lot of people have no idea what a city commissioner does.
Right.
So they'll give our viewers your best shot at what the job is in any way you like to describe it.
Yeah, sure. The city commissioner's office is a 3-member bipartisan board of elected officials, and we oversee all the election functions in Philadelphia County. It's a $10 million budget. There's 98 full-time jobs, and there's thousands of part-time jobs if you include the poll workers and the registration. There's 1,692 polling divisions. And, you know, it's a big, vast logistical job. You have a lot of diversity in Philadelphia, and our job is to make sure that when you go to register your vote, that everything is running smoothly, and that's my job. We also handle the voter registration, and that's a big, lofty job as well. You know, people put their voter registration forms in, and, you know, they're not necessarily on the polls. I mean, you know, we have a shortage of poll workers, so it's our job to make sure that everything runs off smoothly, that your voting experience is professional and done with enthusiasm.
So someone said in an article recently that the easiest way to understand what the city commissioners do is if things go wrong on election day.
Right.
Long lines, people aren't in the poll books, absentee ballots aren't counted or are late, so forth and so on. So that also suggests you're accountable for what happens on election day.
Right? Oh, you better believe it. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is people votes. I mean, if, you know, somebody misplaces from human error, misses someone voter registration, and, you know, they don't get to vote, I mean, that's their chance to participate in democracy. As far as the long lines, Philadelphia really don't have that problem. I mean, we saw that with President Barack Obama. You know, you see it in the presidential elections, but unfortunately, in the mayoral race like this, you know, you won't have that issue of lines.
We did have 3-hour lines at the 2016 presidential election.
Yeah, presidential election. I mean, yeah.
So
in certain areas,
let me just ask you, this gets into sort of your thoughts on kind of the office and its performance to date. How have the city commissioners been doing this last term or in recent memory? If you had to give a grade to the performance of the office, is there room for you to improve it?
Oh yeah, it's just room for me to improve it. I mean, I think that I'm the person to do it. We have a vacancy there. Commissioner Clark isn't running. So hopefully, like I say, I've been endorsed by the Democratic Party, have a lot of union support and a lot of labor support, a lot of different neighborhood coalitions that see the vision of Omar Sabir being in office.
Mhm.
And I believe that I'm the person to do it.
But back to the
What would
performance of the
degree?
office, yeah.
Well, I
How's it
mean,
been doing?
I think you is out of 5. I think you might give it about 3.5. But I think with me being there, I think it could be in 5. And I think it's we always have to keep working forward. We have to make sure that everyone's voice is heard and see how can we make our elections better.
Mhm. So this is a hypothetical. We hope it doesn't happen, but
Oh,
it
okay.
actually happened to be in
Right.
real life. So let's say that you had, it's a 3-person board of commissioners,
Correct.
right? 3 of you, 2 majority, 1 minority party.
Correct.
Um, let's say one of your colleagues wasn't showing up to work ever,
Correct.
and it was pretty clear that that was the case.
Right.
This is, by the way, what was happening in this last 4 years with Commissioner Clark. So it wasn't just a hypothetical. So
Right.
what would you do if this was one of your colleagues?
Well, I mean, the first thing I would do is if you got those 3, you got a 3-member bipartisan board, right? You got 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. First thing I would do is I would stop. I would personally, if he wasn't showing up to work, I would stop at his house or her house and see exactly what's going on. See
Mhm.
why you aren't showing up, and see how can we turn that around to see to get you coming back into work, and see how can we be more efficient and see exactly what's going on. Because some people may have illness. You have coworkers sometimes they
Mhm.
don't necessarily disclose everything. So I go to their to their house, see what's going on. But guess what? If they're not going to show to work, guess what? Then we just got to roll up our sleeves, pick up the load, and do what we have to do.
Mm. Do you, I don't want to dwell too much on the past
Go
because I
ahead.
know you're all
We
about
are
the
the
future.
future. Accessibility,
But were
transparency, and
you
modernization.
offended by that? Just as a local leader, as a
Oh
taxpayer,
yeah.
as a
Well,
voter?
well, as a taxpayer, yes, that's why I actually ran in 2015.
Mhm.
I came up short. I didn't have the party endorsements like I have now. A lot of people were telling me, why should I run? Why are you running? I just felt it was fundamentally that we needed a change. And I actually ran for office, had a bad ballot position,
Mhm.
had a worse ballot position, and, we came up short.
Yeah.
But my protest was me actually going out and actually running
Right.
without nobody, without the party support. And I felt as though that we needed a change.
Right. Right. So let's talk more about you and your background. What would you like folks to know about what you've accomplished, the successes that you've had that benefited the city of Philadelphia and its people that would prepare you to take on this job?
Okay, well, back in 2013, I was successful. I was elected traffic court judge.
Mhm.
I came in number 1, and just within traffic court came, and then it got abolished. That same
Mhm.
summer,
Right.
right when I elected in the primary, and my faith had got a little bit shaken in the process, and there was a lot of people that actually voted for me for the very first time. The first time voters. They said, Omar, man, I was the topic of
Mhm.
barbershops, hair salons about
Right.
this is the reason. We have the educated black man that ran for office. Why should I vote? Look what they did to you. So I received a phone call that summer from State Senator Benson Hughes, who's the first African American appropriation chairman. He said, I like what you did with the campaign, and why don't you come to Harrisburg? So it was the irony because it's like
Yeah.
I'm going to go work for the same place that just abolished my
Right.
position,
Right.
but we still wanted to serve the citizens of the 7th Senatorial District, which is it's from West Philadelphia, but we actually serve is up to Upper Dublin as well. So it's a lot of one part of the district is poor, the majority, but you go up to more affluent, and it was a good experience for the last 6 years, and build relationships.
What'd you do for the Senate?
Well, I was actually, well, everybody, when you first come into the senator's office, you don't care about titles or anything else. You start at the ground level, right? So I came there working hard. I was answering phones at first
Mhm.
because I came in, I thought I was a big shot. He said, hey,
Uh-huh.
man, you got to start answering the phones,
Right.
man.
Everybody starts
Right.
the
So we
ground
started answering the
floor.
phones. So I ended up being his union liaison, his office manager, and I had like another pet project. I started a nonprofit called Vote Philly Vote that he was very supportive of. So we was going out to the constituents. It was a nonpartisan group, and we was educating voters on voting.
All right. Some folks have said that the city commissioners have a role to play in, speaking of Harrisburg, and going to Harrisburg and advocating for changes to the election process, modernizing it, making it easier to vote in some way, shape, or
Sure,
form. So,
sure.
what are your thoughts on that part of the job description? And do you have ideas about how we could improve or modernize the voting process?
Oh, of course. I mean, I sit down with leadership in Harrisburg all the time.
Uh-huh.
I have a great relationship. So as people talk about reforms, it's very important that you have relationships. I also have good relationships with a lot of the organized labor and a lot of other different community coalitions. So one of the things, bills that the senator had introduced was automatic voter registration.
Uh-huh.
That didn't really get nowhere. Uh, but, in 2020, we've been working hard on elections all across the state.
Mhm.
So we've been participating in elections all across the state. We're 4 seats away from actually taking control of the Senate, for
Mhm.
Democratic control, so we can get those reforms that we want. We want automatic voter registration. We want early voting. We want paid time off to vote. We want absentee ballot reform. We want to eliminate all the barriers which make it harder for people to vote,
Right.
and then particularly Black and brown people.
So, is that impossible if unless the Senate gains majority in the Senate and the House?
Actually, it's not impossible. One of the things that we did with the voter ID was that we actually filed a lawsuit. So we actually can form a coalition of people that actually maybe sue
Mhm.
to actually try to get those changes that we want.
Mhm.
Because all the data is proven that we talk about early voting, same day registration, all those different reforms. It makes it easier for people to vote, and then particularly Black and brown people.
Mhm.
Because let's face it, those are the people that's been suppressed.
Mhm.
And we want to eliminate all barriers, we want to update the election code. And like I said, we do have a friendly state and Supreme Court up there. So, I mean, why not?
Right, right. Do you have relationships with the Republican leadership or Republican members in Harrisburg?
Oh well, Republicans are in control, so I mean, you have to make relationships on both
Mhm.
both sides of the aisle, and if we come to see a common barrier on what's going on, we'll go for it.
Okay. So this the last part of the conversation. Let's presume. Let's fast forward. You get elected in May of the primary.
Right.
It's now 2023, 4 years from now, and you're now, let's say, you're campaigning for reelection. What would you like to to say that? What's the short list of things that you have been able to accomplish that you'd like to share with the voters in 2023?
Okay, well, we want to have accessibility, transparency, and modernization. Hopefully, the office would be more accessible for senior citizens, returning citizens, citizens that have special needs, and we want the office to be more transparent.
Mhm.
We're talking about daily social media posts. We're talking about weekly email blasts. We're talking about different meetings every month, going around to different parts of the city, letting the citizens of Philadelphia know, like I said, that $10 million in that budget,
Mhm.
what is it being spent for? We also want to modernize it. I have a vision of coming up with a nice mobile app, robust, that people can get the accurate information that they need,
Mhm.
particularly voters from 18 to 35,
Right.
to get up-to-date information, make it easier for them to get registered, to download the absentee ballots. So that's hopefully, like I said, what I like to see. And then more often than not, like I said, I just like to see the voter turnout increase.
Yep.
Because the more we vote, the more we get.
Yep. So last question, I'm sure you have a thought on this. About 6 weeks ago now, I guess the current commissioners signed off on a new voting machine procurement, not without a fair amount of controversy that continues to this day. The city controller weighed in and said she didn't thought this was a great process. The auditor general of the state weighed in. Of course, both Democrats. Was that a good choice? Was that a wise choice? If you were elected, would you continue with that procurement? Would you?
Well, I would have done the process different. I would have got more input from all parts of the city, but I do understand that there was a mandate to get that done. So it was kind of like a rush process, but definitely we needed more input from people in West Philadelphia, North Philadelphia about the voting machines because nobody knew anything about it.
Or
So
would you have made the same decision?
Well, hindsight, I mean, there's always 2020. I mean, I can't really say what I do because I don't have the position.
Mhm.
I just think right now, I mean, we already had the machines. So now what's important is that we teach people how to use those new voting machines,
Mhm.
that we have enough outreach to our committee people, that we have enough to just the regular citizen voters, and we have to teach people how to use those machines.
Right. Yeah. Well, the plan is, I heard from
Right.
current Commissioner Dealey earlier
Mhm.
today that, they're going to put those in place and electronic poll books as well on
Right.
for this November, so that we don't have to try this stuff out during a
Right.
presidential year. But yeah, you point out that is a huge issue. Which, if we had another 15 minutes, we talk about training and recruitment and all
Well,
that
that's
sort
the
of
main
stuff.
thing. We gotta do training, and it's on all of us.
Yeah.
It's our civic duty to do the training. Especially in the Black and Brown communities.
Yeah.
Because voter turnout is already kind of low, but to see different changes, so we have to get people recruit people from the neighborhood
Yeah.
that people can trust, and we're going to execute and do training, like I say, committee people, the voters, and everyone else.
Well, I did my time when I first came to Philadelphia. I was on the election board in Germantown for a couple seasons. Those a couple of long days, is what that is.
Oh yeah.
Listen, we have to wrap this up, but Omar Sabir,
Thank you, man. I
for
appreciate
joining
your
us.
time, man.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. And just as another reminder, primary coming up May 21st. Make a plan to vote. Encourage your family, your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, people at your church, everybody you run into, make a plan to vote. If you need more information, go to our website at 70.org. You can take a look at our world-class voter guide. And you can also download our We Vote app from the App Store, which will put in the palm of your hand pretty much everything you need to be a super voter on May 21st and beyond. So with that, thanks again, and we'll see you at the polls.
Push number 35.
All right, here we go.
Thank you.
Okay.